I think now that I'm on the same platform with all the Lindeners that I've seen being interviewed, hey man, I think I can say I've arrived. I have arrived. To be interviewed by King James and just to be on Linden TV, and I'm not even from Linden. I Now you make me want to go to Linden one of these days.
Well, you definitely got to check it out. There's lots to see there.
Like, subscribe, and share to Voices of Linden TV.
Welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Show. I'm your host, Andrew James, and today I'm pleased to have with us in studio via Zoom, Mr. Charles Musakanda. Mr. Musakanda is the owner-operator of Now TV, Nuggets of Wisdom, which is a new platform that features weekly inspirational nuggets. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Charles Musakanda.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Charles is a very good friend of mine. He's been extremely supportive of me during my time of ministry at my local church, of course. And it's a distinct honor and a privilege to be able to have a conversation here with him this evening. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, Charles Musakanda is a born and raised African who grew to know the best of both worlds. Raised in the city from where I am, and in Zimbabwe, that is, and some would know it formerly as Rhodesia. And, grew up learning a lot of wisdom and things from older folk, from older parents. I always found it intriguing and exciting to be around older folks. And so I grew up like that. Always had an older group of people around me, or always hung out with an older group of people. Migrated to Canada just over a decade ago. And without encroaching too much into the private space of things, very happy and doing well, blessed and highly favored, as they call it. So I am one of the biggest supporters for not only our own African folk. And when I say African, I'm talking about any Black person on the face of this planet, and of course for the human race altogether. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am, and that's what I'm all about.
Very good. Nice to see you. And via Zoom, of course, because of the pandemic. I know we haven't been able to catch up, but it's nice to catch up with you, Charles. It's so nice to see you. Can you tell us about what inspired you to start Now TV, Nuggets of Wisdom, when it was birthed, and what was the inspiration behind you starting up this new platform?
Well, thank you. I'm a speaker, and fortunately have that gift to be able to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And so many times I've heard from some folk that have even asked me if I had any aspirations of becoming a pastor. Some have asked me if I had aspirations of being a political figure. Some asked me if I should be on radio, and things like that. And the reason being, I take it that folk found value in things that I had to say at the times that I'm given or granted the opportunity to say something. So I never really took it to myself to go social media. I'm not too big with technology, not too big with social media, but a thought came to me that perhaps during this COVID period when you couldn't see anyone, meet anyone, be with anyone, couldn't engage in those speaking, engagements. I figured, why not get out of your shy shell, get out of that I'm not a social media person, and start a platform that you can share the things that you encounter every day, be it life's experiences or things that you see in other people's lives or things that you heard, things that you've read, things that come to you by inspiration. It would be a selfish thing for me to keep those things to myself and go to the grave with them. I remember the beautiful words of the late preacher, Miles Monroe, who said the graveyard is one of the richest places in the world because the graveyard is full of people who died with their potentials, who never really brought it out. And the world is deprived of those potentials, deprived of that information, deprived of that opportunity to learn from what those people took with them. And so the inspiration behind starting Nuggets of Wisdom Now TV is for me to impart the little bit that I have. And even after I'm gone, or when I'm no longer able to do it, be it with old age, whatever it may be, at least that wisdom remains. And I'm confident it will remain because I draw my wisdom nuggets primarily from scripture.
Amen. Well said. Nicely said. Sharing, of course, is caring.
That's
Something
right.
for the youth in terms of youth empowerment through education. What does that mean to you through your own lens?
For us to be where we are right now, to have this technology we have, to have the luxuries that we have in life, living in houses, not having to worry about leaking roofs or living in a cave with bats, not having to walk for miles and driving an automobile, not having to worry about rowing a boat for months at a time. We can just cross the Atlantic, the Pacific within 24 hours. All of that is things that, it's just normal to fly. It's just normal to drive a car. But someone had to devise and to plan and to work around all the obstacles for us to have those pleasures. There's people that went to war, blood was shed, death was had, and all those things that came to be for us to enjoy the luxuries that we have today. So what I'm saying by that is youth empowerment is us paving the way to make it manageable and to better the next generation. Every person who's had a child or who has a child or grandchildren, even great grandchildren, you hope and you expect that the generation to follow you will do better than you. That's why it's important for us to have youth empowerment, to educate them, to give them ideas as to how to lead their lives, give them a platform to think outside the box, and also allow us to hear what they have to say because they're living in a different generation, a different age, a different era with different experiences that some of us grew up with. So it's important for us to listen. And it's a two-way street. You give information, you receive information, and you guide accordingly to empower our youth that we may be better people generation by generation. In particular, as I said, Nuggets of Wisdom TV, Now TV, it focuses on the human race. But there's times where it's important for us to zone into certain issues that are at hand that cannot be ignored, things that are they're just right in our face and we can't lie about them. For example, in particular with the Black race, with the Black folk globally, it is important for us to realize that we have to empower our youth because we come from a very dark history and we've come a long way to be where we are right now. And if we don't make it a point to impart wisdom and to guide and to help to empower our youth and to give them a better generation, guess what? We'll forever be slaves, just modern day slaves. That's the only difference.
Nice radio voice. I do think you should take up the suggestion again on the radio. I definitely think you should explore the opportunity of becoming a pastor. And the last one was a politician. Well, let's leave politics for later. Let's leave politics for the politicians. I know, reflecting pre-pandemic, we've had some good times at church. We've been out, we've had a lot of social gatherings, a lot of good interactive community building, spirit of developing and building good community. That's how I categorize it. I think it's important. I think it's important for any good church to have an opportunity whereby the members can come together and have good fellowship, have a good laugh, have good food, and good music and good times, because it's important. Importance of good relationship. What does that mean to you? And of course, for folks wanting to see you on YouTube, can you give us your YouTube channel as well, possible, if folks want to access you and subscribe and be a part of your platform?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. I'll start with the channel so that people know where to find me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm new to social media. So I will be setting up a Facebook account as well, which I will name after the YouTube channel so that it's not confusing. The YouTube channel is Now, N-O-W, just like we spell now TV. In brackets, it's Nuggets of Wisdom with Charles Musakanda. For those of you who know me and who know how to spell the name, the last name, Musakanda. If you can say Wakanda, if you can say Anaconda, you can also say you can also say Musakanda. Very, very simple. It's all vowels. Musakanda, Musakanda. So Now TV, but it's easier to find me. I found even when I went searching myself on YouTube, it's easier if you just type Musakanda or Charles Musakanda. It'll pop you right to the channel. But it is Now TV, Nuggets of Wisdom with Charles Musakanda in brackets. And to answer your question about relationships, the importance and the value of relationships, I think, is very underrated, in that for the world to be what it is right now, be it from the political sphere or from any aspect of life, it's because of relationships. And relationships are primarily important starting from the home. There's a good old saying that says, charity begins at home, where mother and father teach their children how to relate. And you teach first by actions, because actions speak louder than words. How mother and father relate is directly related to how the children will relate them among themselves as siblings, and how they relate with their parents as well, and with everybody else in society. So children will see how mom and dad relate at home. And if they see any delinquency out there, they can understand and they know that this is delinquent compared to what we live at home. And if every home took that value to know that we have to employ virtue and inject integrity in our children, you find that the society becomes a better place, because the community starts from home to the community, and the church starts from home. Everything starts from home. Charity begins at home. And if we fail to identify how we talk to each other in the home, how we relate with one another, it interprets how we do things out there. Some of us have had to deal with angry or rude people to whom you've not done anything. You go order something, let's say, for those of us in North America or in places where there's McDonald's, let's use a common brand, or KFC, or whatever it may be. You go buying something. Hi, I'm here to get okay, what do you want? And they give you short change, like, I think I'm short 20. And they just cantankerous, just angry, just upset. or someone who's just outright miserable. And you wonder why. Half the time you trace it is because they're not happy in their lives. They're not happy at home. And so if we master to have good relationships in homes, we'll be able to master how to improve this world. And for that to happen, it has to involve humble parties. It's important for each and every single one of us to be humble. Don't hit the high road. Don't always think that it's your way or no way. Take the time to listen and to grow. That's the only way we can mature. Without that, well, just like how we're talking right now, if I keep talking and talking and talking and talking throughout this interview without learning or listening to your questions, I am only repeating what I already know. But sometimes if you listen to people, you learn something new, and it takes humility for that to happen. You water my garden, I water my garden, your garden. We help each other to grow. And that's the importance of relationships.
I like the way you explain the importance of good relationship as you did. And, you know, I look forward to, of course, COVID being over and life being, you know, allowing us to go back to pre-pandemic days. So, you know, we had good times and so on. Nuggets of wisdom. It being your channel, what would your nugget of wisdom be for someone watching today? I'm going to put you in the spot right now.
Okay. The best nugget is simple to the point. In all thy getting, get understanding. In all thy getting, get understanding. That's in the book of Proverbs. The wisest man to live, Solomon wrote that. And the reason I say that is because if you don't understand anything, you're most likely to make mistakes. You're most likely to miscalculate. You're most likely to misunderstand. And you act or react in a way that you probably shouldn't have. The prophet Hosea also wrote in chapter 4, verse 6, and he says, my people are lost for the lack of knowledge. Not because the knowledge is not there, but because you have denied knowledge. You see, and then it goes further to say, because thou hast denied knowledge, I, the Lord, will remove myself from you. I will pluck you away from being my ambassador. And I will deny your children because you've denied me and you've denied knowledge. So just the beginning of that text right there. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Someone told us a lie when they came up with this clever saying, oh, ignorance is bliss. No. Ignorance is not bliss. You ought to have understanding. So the first thing I would say to any person, young or a little bit mature, is in all thy getting, get understanding. Be slow to speak, but quick to understand. And you find that life will be smoother, and you build good rapport with people. You build confidence with people. You build trust with people. You gain respect from people when you are slow to speak and slow to anger, because you've attained yourself the qualities and the virtue of understanding.
Nicely said. I see you came prepared for battle there. Good soldier. Very nicely said. Mr. Musakanda, we're just pushing up against time. Just in closing, what advice would you give to a young person that's struggling in their Christian walk?
Well, the reality is that God remains God, whether you believe in him or not. And as a matter of fact, God believes in you more than you believe in him. Even if you're a devout Christian, God still believes in you more than you believe in him. How do I know that? Go read Jeremiah 29, verse 11. I'm not trying to be a preacher here. I'm not trying to be holier than thou. By no means am I any better than anybody. One thing I know for sure is that I am not better than anybody, but I am better off with understanding and with wisdom. So I can tell you, young people, And those of us who've had it rough in life, yes, sometimes the billows of life, they toss us to and fro, side to side, here and there, and sometimes we stumble. But the reality is, no matter what place you are in your spiritual walk, God remains God. So you may as well submit to him and acknowledge him that he can direct your path. That's why Solomon wrote it in Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 7, when he said, in all your ways, acknowledge God and he will direct your path. Why? Because God, we learn from Psalm 139 that he knew about us even before we were in our mother's womb. He knew about us even before the foundations of the earth. So everything that is happening today, he was already there before it was and before we were. So if only we acknowledge him, he, being the trailblazer, will know which path to direct you in. It's not a dumb thing. It's not a boring thing. It's not an what's the other word I'm looking for? It's not a mundane, thing to be a believer. As a matter of fact, it's the coolest thing. It's the biggest trend to be a believer in God, because when you do so, you find yourself propelling way much further and way much quicker than everybody else. You find joy and fulfillment in your heart. You have multimillionaires, billionaires out there on the face of this planet who are sleeping in their tears, living in misery, constantly checking over their shoulder, looking because somebody's always after them. Why? Because they don't have joy. There's no fulfillment in material things. Don't chase material. Don't chase fame. Don't chase popularity. Chase purpose. Have a purpose in your life, and you find that when you meet that purpose and you work for that purpose, everything else, including money, it is important. I'm not taking money out the picture. The reality is we live in a world that needs money. Money is time and time is money. That's why we all spend our time and our days at work, working for that money. So it's important to have the money. But you find that when you chase a purpose, the money that comes with that purpose is more satisfying, more fulfilling, and you enjoy it a whole lot more and you appreciate it a whole lot more. There's so much I could say, so much that I could go on and on about that, but it's important that you identify your relationship with God. God is your God. Don't worry about trying to relate with your mother's God, your grandmother's God, your father's God. Yes, he is the same God, but the relationship is one-on-one. And you find that you have a lot of fun in life. There's no restrictions. It's all for joy. If you would refer to the nugget I did, I believe, a week ago, and I titled it Spirituality Number 2, and it's called Rules of the Road. Rules of the Road. If you forget, just type Spirituality 2 Now TV, you'll find it. And all the nuggets basically that I've uploaded so far, they all speak to relationships. They speak to self-development and development together as a community. And I will be focusing a little bit on that in the next few nuggets that I'm uploading. As a matter of fact, as we speak right now, there's a nugget that's uploading titled Jack of All Trades. And that's about development. And there's another one for geared towards young people and parents called Train Up a Child. And please listen to it because it ventures into a non-conventional way of thinking from what you think just by hearing Train Up a Child. Because I know particularly those of us in the faith, we want to run quickly to, train them up to fear God. Yes, that's true, but there's other important aspects to training up a child. Just take a moment, please, to watch all the nuggets. And the reason I keep them as nuggets is so that they don't take away from your precious time. I know your days are filled with important things. So even be it that when you're going to bed and it's the last thing you do for the day, just plug on a nugget, and you don't even have to watch me. I don't have that much of a pretty face, so you don't have to watch. You can just listen, and there's so much in there that all ages, and all genders and all ethnic groups can benefit from. There's nothing that secludes anybody. Everyone is included in all those nuggets.
Thank you, Mr. Musakanda, for being a part of the show. I can tell you for sure I will be subscribing to your channel, Now TV, Nuggets of Wisdom. If I can't find it that way, I will be going to YouTube and searching Charles Musakanda, CharlesMusakanda, and I will definitely be in touch with you for sure. Mr. Musakanda, on behalf of everyone at the Let's Talk Show, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for being a part of the show. And we definitely look forward to having another conversation with you at a later time. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for having me, King James. Really appreciate it. And I think now that I'm on the same platform with all the Lindeners that I've seen being interviewed, hey man, I think I can say I've arrived. I have arrived. To be interviewed by King James and just to be on Linden TV, and I'm not even from Linden. Now you make me want to go to Linden one of these days.
Well, you definitely got to check it out. There's lots to see there. Have a good night. Take care.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yes.